Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm happy to be here with you. I've got other CyberSN folks in chat, and so we're here to talk along the way. Feel free to ask questions, share information, share your point of view. This conversation is something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. It's our jobs, our careers, which literally ties to our well-being in being able to provide for ourselves and our families. So CyberSN really cares to be super comprehensive on this topic of what's happening with our job market, and all of you have a lot of information in your brains too. So let's utilize chat and let's look at data and let's have some great discussions here. So next slide. We're going to start with cyber job posting data. And on my next slide here, I have some data approach, that a collection approach I want you all to sort of read and think about while I'm talking. So what is this data I'm about to show you? We call it job posting data because that's exactly what it is. Almost 3 years now, CyberSN has been bringing in all jobs posted in the US, covering all 45 cybersecurity job categories. And we've been bringing in that data into our job matching platform. And the original reason we did this was to allow professionals who are on our platform that have profiles to have a better searching experience. And so that we still have that today and continue to offer that free service. But of course, the data that comes from doing this is, I think, one way of getting some perspective on what's happening. And while we will start here in the job posting data, I also have a lot of perspective to share with you all past job posting data in terms of what's happening. But let's start here. This data collection approach screen is so that everybody's on the same page as what are we talking about. We're talking about periods from January 2023 to July 2024, and I'll be showing the difference between 2023 and 2024. Think of this job data as sourced from all major job boards as well as the Fortune 500 websites. When we first started collecting this data, we were taking down the jobs or every 45 days. We've realized that most jobs are coming down around 30 days. So we changed that back in July 2023. And yes, there are recruiting agency jobs and there are direct employer jobs here, all consistently from day one in terms of our uh, data hygiene. And we have removed duplications. As we all know, we've seen through the remote workforce that, jobs posted in 12 states and it's the same job, but because they could be in 12 states, there's 12 of them. So we clean that up. And then, of course, just making sure that we're on top of the variability and the churn. So, with all of that in mind, let's dive into some data. We have a data report, and I'm sure my team will put into chat a link to find all of this wonderful data. You can also find it at cybersn.com. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of data. It's hard to put on a screen. So what I did is, and what we did is say, let's just look at the top 25 roles. But again, there's 45 that we're constantly measuring. And, January 2023 to December 2023 is on the left, and January 24 to July 24 is on the right. As you can see here, uh, 2023 definitely was the first year, even though October of 2022 is when the stock market did its big fall. We really started to see jobs decline in May of 2022. Um, the market as a whole and sort of all folks in the US saw it in October. And then of course, that's holiday season. And so really it's like 2023 is when everybody started to feel things are not the same, not feeling stable, layoffs starting. And, those of you that heard me talk about this data in 2023, what was most alarming to me was the product security decrease, both DevSecOps and product security engineering. It was quite alarming, still is quite alarming. It looks like the trend is even a little bit less this year when you compare 2023 to 2024 directly to its right. But ultimately, this is what happened. 2023, we saw job postings decrease at any given time. If you look at how many jobs are posted over the last few years, it's been between 130 to 160,000. Now we've been really staying at the 130 or so thousand. This is the breakdown, and security engineer being the highest posted job both 2023 and 2024, as you can see here, but with still a decrease from the year prior, which would be 2022. So what are we seeing? What do we see here? We see a little bit of green, a lot of red. We see the green being Chief Information Security Officer, which I know some of you may be job searching right now or have friends that are job searching and they're feeling like there's no jobs or feeling down about everything. I've got a lot of information about that coming up in this talk, even past the data. But at the end of the day, it's a broken job searching system. It's not that people aren't out there looking for these folks. And this data certainly says that. Um, and it also shows, the increases that we've had recently with roles like data scientist. In fact, data scientist is the only one in 2024. So this is as you can see in this column, total job postings in that job function category, and then the change from one year to the next. And of course, 2024, we're not done, but in the next slide, we'll start to dig deeper and show the percentage of decrease here. So overall, if we can go to the next slide, what are we saying? We're saying that we know that in 2023, we saw like significant decrease. We're still seeing that same decrease plus about 5 to 10% on each role. You can see that the critical role decline, the largest decline still remain to be in product security, DevSecOps, which I'm sure you all would agree is just super frightening because that means, breaches are happening everywhere. I will say that, and I'm happy to hear from all of you too, but when I've asked security leaders about this decrease being specifically in these job areas, um, what I've heard is that, well, of course, if you're told you have to cut your budget and you have to cut it by X, and you can't cut your product renewals because you're deep in them and you still have years left. What else is there other than staff? And if you've got product security and information security, you're not going to choose information security because that's what the business relies on. And of course, you don't agree with any of this, and yet you're being forced. So the product security roles, in short, or DevSecOps, have less of a real-time impact to the business, but as we know, certainly has a sort of not even long-term, midterm and long-term problems. All right, so this was 2023. CISO roles more in demands, even though there were layoffs. The job postings were going up even in 2023. Let's take a look at 2024. And when we look at 2024, it's, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit deeper here. You got the same top 4 roles staying in the top 4 with a little bit of a switch between management and GRC in 2024. I think we've all felt the GRC uptick in 2024. Of course, those teams through regulation and compliance are growing more in demand. But still, if all the data continues to go the same through the rest of this year, then we'll probably see a 5 to 10% decrease even in 2024 from 2023. And I believe that's the case that we're going to continue to see. And I'm going to talk about some reasons and things that have been going on and get really in depth with what I think beyond just sharing this data. And of course, makes sense that the only job posting category that we see going up in all of 2024. So in 2023, if you remember, we saw some roles went up, three, but in 2024, the only role that went up, every role has gone down so far. Again, as long as it continues through 2024, the same sort of posting data that we're seeing, then that the only one going up would be cyber data scientists, which makes sense considering 2024 is when we really started to see organizations adopt AI strategies, and putting their time and money into AI solutions. What else did this data, clearly shows that, excuse me, this data doesn't show, the new to cyber challenge or imposter syndrome or DEI challenges. But I'm going to talk about them and some other things next. So it's clear those things have definitely become more of a challenge for us all. So I'm going to get into that next on our next slide here. But before we do, something that was really interesting that my team pointed out, and I thought, what, I want to hear what you all think. There's these spikes in job roles, and I've got just two of them here for an example. We've got Chief Information Security Officer and privacy. Uh, Look at the spikes being both January and December. What would that mean? Is that a result of budgets and workload management, and when people and organizations decide to, or excuse me, January and July, excuse me, is the spike in January and July really this about workload, or is it about something else? Is it about quarter ends, half year ends, kickoffs, check-ins? I'm super curious what you all think. But that anomaly was quite interesting. And for me, it seems that, those are the two times where people are working the least. July is so much time off for 4th of July. It's summer, getting out with families. We see so much vacation there. Of course, we know the December, January timeframe. Are we posting jobs while we're on vacation? Like what do you all think? I'm thinking it's more about pressure to fill roles, kind of coming, bi-yearly. Would love to hear what you all think. Okay, next slide. All right, so that was job posting data. You can get your hands on it. Lots of ways that we slice and dice it in our, brochure that we have for you all. Of course, CyberSN, with 10 years of being in business and talent acquisition, talent development, talent management, talent coaching, this is something that is near and dear to my heart, this like chaos that's going on, and helping you all understand what is going on. So you've got the job posting data. We know there's less roles that are open. We know this, right? And we know that not only are there less roles open, we know that the jobs that were open went on hold, that were unfilled, right? So that's this FTE roles go on hold. Existing FTE roles, as you see on the right here, layoffs. And so how is that possible? We're short all these people. We needed these people. How is that even possible? Well, it's possible because what happens when FTE roles go down, when there's an economic shift, that's exactly what happens. Full-time employment, permanent is really what it's called, where you're an employee of the employer. Those roles are the easiest roles to cut in the United States for an organization, excuse me, other than contractors, it's easier than products is my point, and service contracts that we're in. So still have the need. What happens? Outsourcing happens. So for the first time in cyber, we saw a significant jump in cybersecurity roles in 2024, going to both offshore and nearshoring. And we all know we've seen this with IT in the past, and we know the challenges that come with that just operationally. But more importantly, I think the biggest challenge that most of people are struggling with that this is happening is just our own security issues with that. But that's another conversation, another day. But just know the work was there. They needed to hire people. So putting roles on hold and laying people off doesn't mean the work goes away. It means the work gets done with different money. Offshoring is the difference between CapEx and OpEx. Consulting, difference between CapEx and OpEx. Managed service providers, difference between CapEx and OpEx. And contractors, again, difference between CapEx and OpEx budgets. And so we saw that here at CyberSN, both 2023, 2024, contracting business going up significantly. This is everything from hourly contract work to SOW contract work that is a year or 2 years. So, yeah, it's still that FTE role that they would have liked to hire, but now it's a CyberSN contractor to the employer for a year to 2 years using a different budget. So, hard to navigate when you're job searching. And those of you that have been out there job searching, your friends, people you've heard all kinds of horror stories, I'm sure. I assure you that those horror stories were happening well before this market condition, so much so that I have proof of hundreds of talks out in our space over the last 10 years about job searching being broken. So I'm going to talk about that and share some more of what I mean by that in a minute. Of course, in 2024, what also made things chaotic is, I'm using DEI here, meaning support for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, support for hiring diverse talent. Of course, we saw for the first time real attacks on that, even in our industry in 2024. I think that women in general were, if you polled the community, and there has been some of these polls already done, and asked, do you think that these layoffs affected women more than men? You would hear absolutely. The first to go were women. I can tell you that the first to call me at the executive level have been women, and continued to feel as if you know, there was unfair selection. So we have those challenges still. Doesn't mean that we don't have a bunch of wonderful men and women out there supporting this. We absolutely do. It's just it was for the first time really on the on the conversation of not feeling good about it. And then, of course, now in 2024, we've also got this literally demand to be back in the office by a large portion of the industry. And so while there are jobs open, one of the reasons why people are feeling, sort of imposter syndrome a little bit about finding their next role, it's also because this demand is impacting the ability to be qualified for a role. So I expect this is going to continue and become even more of a challenge for us this in coming back into the office. It's unfortunate, and yet it's true. Um, AI, I get asked about it all the time. What is AI causing us all to feel what we're feeling? I'll tell you, in my next slide here, where we see AI impacting and making things chaotic. Can we go to the next slide? Is is really more about the job searching and matching process, not eliminating our jobs, meaning AI has not yet eliminated anybody's job. I say yet because we know that there's going to be some of the work that security analysts do, some of the work that all roles do will be automated. I don't know that that's AI replacing. We'll see as we go. But what we do know is that, you know, professionals using Chat GPT to make resumes to match job descriptions makes it harder. I've never been a fan of that. I've always said, and we say this at CyberSN, if you have to alter your resume, to get the interview, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to probably be uncomfortable. I would prefer that everybody understand that job descriptions, unless they're done the way you see them here on the right, like CyberSN clients do with us in our platform, they don't mean much. They're probably cut and pasted from somebody else's job, or they're some old job description they had. Maybe they dusted it off a little. But really, I think the better play is us keeping our resumes or our profiles looking like we see here on the right, as much as looking like the percentage breakdown and how we spend our time. And of course, we have that ability at CyberSN for you to make a profile. But what do we got? So then we've got HR managers and or hiring managers in HR using interviewing and screening AI. I mean, yes, that's a problem. It's adding more complexity, more bad actors, more fake profiles. So, as we continue down this journey, I think that we're going to continue to see more of those problems. But in terms of roles being eliminated, haven't seen anything like that yet. We certainly saw more AI and ML roles emerge in 2024, and we've updated our taxonomy to include an AI security engineer. AI so far hasn't impacted us in terms of number of jobs. What I do worry about is AI is replacing already IT entry level jobs, support IT entry level jobs. And in the commercial space in particular, this is where we get a lot of our pipeline for cybersecurity. So I am very concerned about our pipeline development having significant issues based on that. So we'll keep you all up to date on that as we continue. So let's talk on my next slide here. Let's talk about job searching and matching is broken, meaning, next slide, meaning everybody can see these quotes, how can there be 500,000 open jobs when I can't find one? And how come it took me a year to find my role? I had 20 interviews and none of them were a fit. I can go on with these quotes. These quotes are quotes that have been in some of my talk slides for 8 years. And I'm not kidding. It is the reason I built the platform that CyberSN has been working off of for the last 7 years. It is literally such a problem, our ability to make a correct match, and that now that there's an economic shift and people are interviewing, or excuse me, unemployed for the first time. Typically, most of you got your job from somebody reaching out, a friend, but you were employed. And so being unemployed, searching, and experiencing what the already broken marketplace feels like it's you, and it's not. So let's look at this deeper here. This is, again, very old, information as far as I'm concerned, in that what's the problem? We've got vague, impersonal job descriptions. The vague part's the worst part. Most job descriptions actually are the persona of the human that an organization thinks they want to hire. It is not like you saw on that previous slide, really listing the tasks and the projects that the organization needs done and applying a percentage of your time to it. That just doesn't exist. And so you don't know if you're qualified. And so you're altering your resume to see if you're qualified. And I mean, just unbelievable that this is the state that we're in. You add SEO on that. What do I mean by that? Other than at cybersn.com, if you're posting on job boards, you have to use and play the SEO game to get found. And so that means SEO, search engine optimization words, have to be used 10 to 12 times over and over. You're also only seeing a portion of the market depending on how well you search, which is why we made the search and started bringing in all these job postings. That's a very cluttered space. Even if we just say and use what CyberSN's data is, which is real data, if there's 100 and let's say 37,000 jobs posted at any given time across 45 job categories, that's still thousands and thousands of jobs that you've somehow got to sift through. And how do you know if you're qualified and interested? I mean, what a nightmare. So that's just the beginning. The next slide shows that, we've got this salary range problem where finally, organizations in certain states have to post salary so that we can all stop wasting our time applying to jobs that aren't even in or near our fit. But, people are putting, $100,000 gap, or I've seen 200,000. Somebody told me the other day that it was 0 to 1,000,000 they saw posted. It's like, what? So, we still haven't solved that problem. Employers are unwilling to, in most organizations, post real salary requirements. We know that internal HR practices and what have you as it pertains to recruiting are overwhelmed themselves. I mean, how could they possibly speak cybersecurity or AI or what have you and speak every job role that they fill at an organization? It doesn't make sense. I had to build a platform for my recruiters. I can't, in order to make matches, I can't imagine how anybody could do it otherwise. And then there's just always been this delay in engaging specialized cyber or recruiters, and that trend continues. If the job's open 6 months, maybe we'll consider it, which is just ridiculous. It's why we created our matching service so that it's more palatable to HR and their budgets. It's half or less of the cost and it works. But at the end of the day, these are the reasons, and the next slide will share that these are the reasons why, job searching is broken. Garbage resume, garbage jobs, SEO, HR doesn't speak the language, trying to figure out these jobs and these resumes. And you, cyber leaders, have got to become recruiters, become recruiting support, post your own jobs on LinkedIn, ping your friends, screen resumes. I mean, the time that you all put in, it drives me crazy. Again, solved that long ago, but I'm bringing this up, and we can move to the next slide, only to say that, job searching was broken before all of this FTE downturn, outsourcing, contract increasing. And so those of you that are now unemployed, or your friends that are unemployed searching in this broken system, hopefully what you can take from this is that there's still lots of jobs out there. It's so broken, you got to know how to navigate it. It's another talk that I do, and anybody struggling, reach out to us. We'll get you some video on how to really do this. So thanks for joining me today, and let's get into these to any more questions that anybody has. Otherwise, have a great one.